Welcome to the Sutta study class. So for today, I will take you to study Sutra number 68 in the Majjhima Nikaya, the Sutra called the Nalakapanna Sutra. For those who are new to the Sutra study, the name of the Sutra usually related to the story in the Sutra itself. For example, this one is the name of the place, and sometimes Sutra name according to the name of the person, or sometimes it name related to the Dhamma itself, like Satipatthana or the Anapanasati Sutra. It talk about the essence of the Dhamma itself. And I call it the true disciples of the Buddha and the purpose of the holy life, which is perfect for us as a new monk who just ordained, including monks who ordained quite some time as well, to get back to the reminder of why we become a monk and how we should train ourselves according to the teaching of the Buddha himself. Before we get started, I find this sutra is a perfect complement to the sutra that we are about to learn, which we did talk about it when we learned about the monastic training. Let me just recap. This sutra is called Tukkara Sutra, explained by Sariputta. Sariputta met with the different ascetic, and that ascetic asked him the question about what is difficult to do in the teaching and the disciplines. You see, the teaching means the Dhamma, discipline means the Vinaya. Today, we're going to see different words of these two things in a moment. The teaching and the discipline, the Dhamma and the Vinaya under the Buddha. Out of everything that Sariputta knows, Sariputta answered that going forth or Banpacha or take ordination is difficult. Okay, you may feel like it took me 30 minutes to become a monk. Why is it so difficult? That's not what he means. He means deeper than that. And the second, after one become a monk, what is difficult? Sariputta answered that to find delight is difficult to do. To find delight in the monk's life is the second difficulties. Why is that? And the third one, after you ordain already, you comfortable with your monk's life, what is the most difficult after that? Sariputta said, to practicing according to the Dhamma, this is the most difficult thing in monk's life. But he did not explain in detail. Today, we will see the detail in each one of these, in the teaching that we are about to learn, that gave by the Buddha himself to a group of monks. And after that, how long does it take for a bhikkhu or a monk practicing according to the Dhamma to become Arahant? Sariputta said, not long, friend. This is also very interesting. Not long. If you really practice according to the Dhamma, not long. What it means by practicing according to the Dhamma, what kind of Dhamma should monk practice to realize Arahant? And what it means by when someone realizes Arahantship. That means the person have complete the training. The job is done. He can remove greed, hatred, delusion completely from his own mind. So he attained Arahantship. The holy life has been lived. There's nothing else that he need to do more than that. That's pretty much the idea of someone become Arahant. We have come across this teaching from time to time, and today let's see if we can understand more by learning this new sutra together. The sutra today, as I said, Nalakapanna Sutra, is middle length discourse of the Buddha, the sutra number 68. In the Majjhima Nikaya, there are 152 sutra. Beautiful sutra. In these 5 Nikaya, I would suggest one to start with the Majjhima Nikaya. But in the Tikha Nikaya, the long discourse, it has 34 sutra. So how many sutra have we learned so far? 152 sutra. And where can we find the authentic teaching of the Buddha this day? The only place where you can get near, I would say near, is the Tipitaka. That's the closest place where one can get to the authentic teaching of the Buddha. So we also have the copy here at the library. So make sure you check it out. Okay, for today, since the sutra is not too short and it's not too long, but if we go to every single sentence, every line, it may easily take a few hours. Okay, that's why I give you the handout to go through it first to get some idea, and that handout it's 80%. Okay, I deduct 20% because it's repeat. It's 80% of what appears in the sutra itself. So you guys can read it in detail later on. What we do here to see if we can go through the each passage and try to understand the meaning behind what we read, and that's one thing that I would like everyone to practice together, because you're going to be reading by yourself anyway in the future. Just to show you the idea of how I myself study sutra and how I see the way we related to the Dhamma that we learn and the way we interpret the meaning behind it, or the way we try to detect what the Buddha actually means. Sutra start like this at Nalakapanna. Nalakapanna is the name of the place, the name of the village. Thus have I heard. Who have heard? Most of the sutra will start off with this word. That have I heard. This is from Venerable Ānanda. He heard what the Buddha talked about this sutra. So he shared with the Sangha during that meeting. After the Buddha passed away, they called for the meeting for the first time. What have you heard from the Buddha in terms of Dhamma? He asked, the Sangha asked Ānanda. And in terms of Vinaya, everybody asked Venerable Upali. Is that what the Buddha said about this rule? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and that's why the sutra always start like this. This is what Ānanda heard from the Buddha when he stayed at the Naḻakapāna place. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living in Kosala. Kosala means the city or the regions. At Naḻakapāna. Naḻakapāna is the name of the village, and this village happened to be in the Palasa grove. You see the word grove all the time, like mango grove of Chivaka. Grove is like the group of trees. So this group of tree is called Palasa. Now on that occasion, many very well-known cleansmen. This is one of the vocabulary that used. They call cleansmen, or the group of men who ordained. They had gone forth out of faith from home life into homelessness under the Blessed One. Now you see the Blessed One refer to the Buddha. Sometimes you see the word awakened one or the Tathagata. There are many terms that used interchangeably. The Venerable Anuruddha, now it's introduced the name, who are those cleansed men. Start from Venerable Anuruddha, Venerable Nanthiya, Venerable Kimpila, Venerable Bhikkhu, Venerable Gontanya, Venerable Revata. The last one is Venerable Ānanda, and others very well-known cleansed men. That means some other men as well who actually happened to be in that particular occasion. How many of these people that you know or you're familiar with? Maybe Ānanda, the personal attendant, Gontanya, first monk in Buddhism in the Dhammacakka. And the rest, do you know any of them? Anuruddha, Nanthiya, Kimpila. These are the three buddy, three friends. Bhikkhu is another monk. Revata is one of the great senior monks in the Buddha time. You may not know all of them, but it's okay. You're going to come across their name later on in later sutra. So get to know their life. Okay, it's quite interesting. But anyway, in this case, what do we know? Okay, the Buddha stay at this place, right? At this village, Naḻakapāna, and then he met with these five men who ordained. Some of them young, some of them senior. The most senior monk happened to be Gontanya, and then Revata. The rest, they are young, come from a good families, and they got themselves ordained. And the Buddha happened to be there. And here the sutta explained that these young men from a fine family, from a very fine family, they are well-known cleansed men. They are somebody in the society. They are not just ordinary men who got themselves ordained. They were Venerable Revata also happened to be a rich man ordained. They take ordination out of faith. So they decide to live their home life to homelessness. Under whom? Under the Buddha. Okay. That's what it means. On that occasion, the Blessed One was seated in the open, surrounded by the Sangha of Bhikkhu. Then referring to those cleansmen, he addressed the Bhikkhu thus: Bhikkhu means many monks. Those cleansmen who have gone forth out of faith from home life into homelessness under me, do they delight in the holy life? This is the question. And the Buddha get to the point. Okay, you guys come from a good family, good life, you left everything behind out of faith to become an ascetic under me, under the Buddha. Do you delight in the holy life? The Buddha asks you, do you delight in becoming a monk? Because ordaining is difficult, as Sariputta explained in the first sutra, and then to be delight in the holy life, in the monk's life also is considered the second difficulty when someone becoming a monk. Now the Buddha asks those cleansmen, do they delight in the holy life? In Pali, use the term brahmacharya. 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 What does it mean? Buddhism equal Vinaya and the Dhamma. These are the two important elements when it comes to the doctrine of the Buddha. Sometimes they use the word dispensation or the brahmacharya, the Vinaya and the Dhamma. And another term they use is called brahmacharya. What is brahmacharya mean? Brahmacharya means an excellent conduct that lead one to realize Nibbana, that lead one to break through the cycle of existence, that lead one to be able to remove all the ignorance, greed, hatred, delusion completely from their own mind. That's called brahmacharya. So in order to do that, one must study both. Study Dhamma and study Vinaya. Then if you understand the Vinaya and the Dhamma, you practice Dhamma according to the Dhamma properly, you will be free yourself from suffering. See, there are many details behind of what we read that we need to be able to connect the dot and understand the word, the meaning, the real meaning behind it. Here the Buddha points to the purpose of someone becoming a monk. This is the goal of someone becoming a monk in the eyes of the Buddha. Do develop faith first. That's why you come and ordain, leave home to be a homeless under the Buddha. And that faith is the starting point. Ask yourself, why did you ordain? What was your level of faith before ordination and today, the faith toward the teacher? Okay, to be specific, in this case, faith refers to we have someone have faith in the Buddha, believing that the Buddha is a self-enlightenment. He is a man just like us, train himself day in and day out wholeheartedly for many lifetimes, and then achieve to that highest level that human being can achieve, to free himself from suffering, from all the defilement, to uproot all the defilement from his mind. Self-taught enlightenment. That's the Buddha. And that man developed faith toward that teacher. And then he come closer to the teaching, he learned more of the Dhamma, and that helped him to adjust the right view bit by bit. His view getting stronger and stronger, and the will go back to strengthen the faith. Now the faith is much stronger than before. A man is brave enough to make decision. Now I think I would like to become a monk. I want to make the end of the journey of suffering. I want to make known of the Four Noble Truths. Whatever Dhamma that he learned, he want to follow the teaching fully. So he decided to take ordination. And after that, it's not easy for someone to find delight in the brahmacharya, in the holy life. Why is that? And that is the second, right? When Sariputta answered to the monks that, okay, ordination is difficult. Why? Because you need to have faith. And the faith come with the right view. How long does it take for you to consider, right, to develop faith and the right view until you make decision to become a monk, full-time or lifelong monk? That is difficult. This comes from panya, to see that, hey, there is something in the lay life. That's not fulfilling. There is suffering there. So I want to find a way to end the suffering. So because of this panya, drive him come closer and closer to the Dhamma and wants to take the ordination. And when someone take ordination, someone must study the Dhamma according to this teaching. That's why to do this is not easy. Many people quit because of this. When he gone forth, when he ordained, he live restrained by the restraint of the Patimokha, the rules. So many rules. As you understand now, you can do whatever you want at home, eat whenever you want, sleep, wake up whenever you want, traveling, shopping, do whatever you want. But now you can't. There's no entertainment here in the monastic life. We live in simple life, condition in the forest, nothing fancy. Get up early, chanting, meditation, 4 sessions a day, study the Dhamma. All of this require discipline and determination. That's why many people cannot feel joy, cannot feel delight in the monastic life, because no entertainment, nothing excitement here. Possess the proper behavior and resort, the place we stay, the manner that you need to develop to be a good monk. Train himself according to the rules that laid out by the Buddha. Seeing the danger in the slightest fault, he comes to endow with wholesome bodily and verbal actions. His livelihood is purifying, and he is possessed of conduct, good conduct. He guards the door of sense faculties, is endowed. He also endowed with mindfulness and the clear comprehension, and he also content in this life. So all of this, is it easy? For a man from a good life, from convenient life, all of a sudden take ordination and stay in the forest. During the time of the Buddha, there was no temple. People live in the cave, live in the empty hut, live in the rice field. No clean toilet, no clean water. Food comes from the villager. You don't know what to expect. How can a man find delight in such living condition? And what do they do all day long after breakfast? Get up in the morning, go arms round by himself, come back, sit underneath the tree and eat off the bowl, and then most of the monks usually eat 1 meal a day. So eating job is done. And what did the monk do all day long after that? No book to read, no teacher to ask questions. So monk has to be alone to meditate according to the meditation object that he received from the preceptor, whether he ordained from the Buddha or ordained through the senior monks. And do you think you can survive in that condition by yourself? You're pretty much alone. That's why it's difficult to find delight. So the Buddha asked this question, like get to the point. Do you feel delight in the holy life? And all of them remain silent. They don't have answer to the Buddha. The Buddha need to ask them 3 times. He addressed Venerable Anuruddha. Thus, Anuruddha, do you all delight in the holy life? And Anuruddha replied that, surely, Venerable Sir, we delight in the holy life. So it seemed like everyone in that crowd, they are happy to be a monk, according to this answer. But you have to imagine that, how living condition of the monk back then, comparing to us here. We have sound system, we have television to learn the Dhamma, we have technologies that are available for us to study all of this. But for them, no. They probably sit with the Buddha in the forest where there's a lot of mosquito, but they have to be there with the candle and no microphone. For us, it's different. But they find delight, and you know what? All of them, they achieve arahantship in that difficult condition. So here is another important statement in this teaching. The Buddha said, good, Anuruddha, good. It is proper for all of you cleansed men who have gone forth out of faith from home life to homelessness to delight in the holy life. The Buddha approved. As you are still endowed with blessing of youth, black hair, young men, in the prime of life, you could have indulged in sense pleasures. Yet, you have gone forth from home life into homelessness. It is not because you have been driven by kings that you have gone forth from home to home life into homelessness, or because you have been driven by thieves, or owing to debt, or fear, or wanted to live a livelihood. Rather, did you not go forth out of faith from home life to homelessness after considering thus? Okay, we're going to come back to this in a moment. What's happening here? The Buddha praised all of these young men. He praised them, he motivated them, he supported them that you guys, you have a good life, you are ordained at a young age, black hair, youth, prime of life, but you decided to turn your back to the sense pleasure world, to become a monastic, to live life in the forest like this. So the Buddha admired their decision. You not ordained because you have driven by kings, or you have chased by the thief, or you have debt. In other words, you did not ordain because you have a worldly pressure for some reason, so you run away from the problem. But none of you here ordained because of this. You ordained because you have faith in the teaching of the Buddha that there is suffering in life, and I want to free myself from suffering. Ask yourself, you guys also ordained at a young age, 20 something. You can use this time, 3 months somewhere in this world, entertaining yourself, indulge in sense pleasure, traveling the world. But why are you here? So the Buddha admired your decision, to take time to take the ordination. Not because you have no place to go, not because you don't have a job, not because you don't have money or debt, but you choose to be here because you see something in the monastic life. That's why you take ordination. And here is the reason why people ordain. I am a victim of birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair. I am a victim of suffering, a prey to suffering. Surely an ending of this whole mass of suffering can be known. And Anuruddha answered, yes, Venerable Sir, this is why I ordain. I ordain because I see all of this in life. I may be coming from rich family, powerful family, but I see this in life. I like the way you teach Dhamma. I understand what you teach, and I believe this is true. It makes a lot of sense. So let me follow you, Buddha. Because life is suffering. This is the first noble truth that we learn. Actually, it should be a rebirth. Okay, rebirth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief. All this, the detail of the first noble truth that we learn in the teaching of the Four Noble Truths. Surely that means perhaps I believe the ending of all of this suffering can be found when I following your teaching. That's what it means here. There are so many people ordained at a young age during the time of the Buddha. Okay, so many people, and they really know what they're doing. Okay, why a man from a good life, born in the palace, decide to leave the palace and stay in the forest? That means he sees something benefit, something valuable. So he doesn't want to waste time stay in the world of sense pleasures. So I think this is a good reminder of why everyone's become a monk. Do you ordain out of your faith? If you ordain out of your faith, you consider this: I am a victim of rebirth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair. I am also a victim of dukkha, or suffering, a prey to suffering. Surely, or perhaps an ending of this whole mass of suffering can be known. This is the purpose of why people back then take ordination. Not because they have no place to go, or they have a problem in their worldly life, but they really see there's a dukkha in life, and I want to following the teaching all the way through until I can get rid of this whole mass of suffering by following the Buddha teaching. this is a good reminder of why one become a monk. Buddha followed that what should be done, Anuruddha, if you already ordained, what should be done? Now getting to another interesting part of the sutra. So you pass, you delight already, you have faith already, you come ordained already, and you want to make through of to break through of the cycle of suffering. And how can we do that? How can we do that? How can a man who already ordained want to achieve liberation, mental liberation? How can he do that? What should be done, Anuruddha, by a cleansed man who has gone forth thus, while he still does not, this is does not, attain what? Attain piti or rapture, and then attain sukha or pleasure, that are secluded from the sensual pleasure and secluded from unwholesome states, or to something more peaceful than that. Okay, there's so many keywords, important keywords here. Covetousness, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness, remorse, doubt, discontent and weariness invades his mind and remain. So these are the 5 hindrances that we learn and we experience them every day. The teaching of the 5 hindrances is deep. Okay, that is so why he still does not attain the rapture, the pleasure. You see, this is the style of sutra. It's repeat. Okay, it's repeat. So when it's repeat, we can go a little bit quicker. Pleasure that's secluded from sin pleasure, secluded from unwholesome state, or something more peaceful than that. Okay, this is what happened. What the monk should do here is to practice meditation, right? But when they practice meditation, if they don't attain the piti and the sukha, these 5 hindrances will invade and remain in the mind of the monk. If they cannot attain these 2 things, piti and sukha, and something more peaceful than that, there's something else, not just this. If the monk did not attain this, or they don't attain this, they will get afflicted by these 5 hindrances one way or the others, or the combination of these 5 hindrances, and it will remain in the mind of the monk. But when he attained, now the Buddha go opposite, explain oppositely. When he attained the rapture or piti, the pleasure or sukha, that you see is repeat again, that secluded from sin pleasure, secluded from unwholesome states, or something more peaceful than that. Now it's repeat here about the 5 hindrances. So when he attained the rapture and the sukha or pleasure, that's secluded from sin pleasure, secluded from unwholesome state, or something more refined, more peaceful than that. You see, this is how the structure of most of the sutra is repeat itself. But you need to look for the keyword. The keyword on the first one, we see the Buddha used the word that does not attain, right? And now on the second part, he said the monk attain. So the difference between the monk who attain and not attain, that's the consequence. When he does not attain, the 5 hindrances will invade and remain in the mind of the monk. But if he attain, all of these 5 hindrances does not invade his mind and does not remain in the mind of the monk. That's the important keyword. In another sutra, so let me just take you to the sideline. The Buddha said, when he see these 5 hindrances have been abandoned within himself, the gladness arise. When he gladdened, rapture arise. When his mind is filled with rapture, his body becomes tranquil. Tranquil in the body, he experiences happiness or sukha. When he is happy, his mind becomes concentrated or submerged in samadhi. Okay. We learned this already in the roadmap of the Buddhist meditation. I don't know if I have it here. But anyway, all of these, they are conditions. Okay. If a man can abandon 5 hindrances, these things will happen naturally, bit by bit. First, he feel gladness or pramoja, pramod. With the gladness lead to rapture. He feel joy. He feel it's called piti, rapture or joy. With that feeling of piti or joy, which is again the stronger degree of gladness is become rapture. And when a mind develop rapture, the body and mind become tranquil. When the body and mind become tranquil, a monk will enter the state of sukha or happiness. What happens if the mind is submerged into the feeling of in the experience of sukha or happiness? The mind become concentrate. You see, the state of samadhi is here. Is here. You need to build bit by bit until you get to the samadhi state. Now we're talking about the advanced samadhi. This is the jhana. That the Buddha did not use the term jhana here, but that's what it is. So here what happens, the Buddha explained to this new monk, these 5 monks, this 5 or 6 monks that listening to this teaching, they may not attain any advanced meditative state yet. That's why the Buddha emphasized this. Okay, you ordain because of you have faith, you see suffering in life, and that's why you take ordination, and that is the purpose why someone become a monk under my teaching, which is the Buddha teaching. And then what do they do after they ordain? Okay, the Buddha point to this teaching. So in other words, I would say to overcome dukkha, beside observing precept, the Buddha emphasized meditation. And the reason monks did not success in meditation or they disrobe because they have not come this far to remove 5 hindrances, to experience this happiness and joy and something more refined that the Buddha did not mention in this paragraph yet. He have not mentioned yet. There's something more than this. So when you meditate and you never find it, the true peace and happiness in your meditation, that a man may change his mind to go back and to enjoy the happiness from sense pleasure that he get used to before he become a monk. So that's why meditation for monk, I would say monk life equal meditation. This is the only way we can realize Nibbana through the meditation practice, not through reading book or sit here and talk about the Dhamma. We have to sit. So here in this simple daily routine, especially in this wonderful rainy season, it's rain every day. I don't know about you guys. For me, I set goal to sit at least 3 hours a day. No matter how busy I am, I will secure 3 hours for myself. So if you don't take meditation seriously, how can you get close to the jhana? How can you experience something more refined? So the danger without the jhana, until the monk attain rapture and pleasure, secluded from sense pleasure completely, okay? Secluded from sense pleasure. Now you physically secluded. What about your mind? How many times you think of movie? How many times you think of your phone? How many times you think of shopping, buying stuff? That's why it hinders you from making progress in your meditation. An unwholesome state as well. So all of these, they are the 5 hindrances that invade the mind and stay in the mind of the monk. Solution, how? To attain the meditative joy or piti and sukha, rapture and happiness, then the hindrances cannot arise. Very simple, but it's not easy to do. So what are the 5 hindrances again? We learn about the sense pleasure, sense desire, covetousness, right? Crave for things, ill will, get angry, an unhappy mind, sloth and torpor, feel sleepy, feel unfresh, and restlessness and worry. The mind continue to worry about here and there all the time, and doubt. These are the 5 hindrances that in the meditation journey, when you close your eye, you may come across these things. They're blocking you from going further. So when you hit the construction site, you need to find the side way to go around, to overcome that hindrances. Then you can go further. That is why we should ask questions to the teacher. You have experienced meditator here, ask them, Luang Pi, how can I pass through this? I have been stuck here for 3 weeks. Maybe having pressure at the eyebrow, and you don't feel fully sabai or relaxed because of the pressure here, and you don't know what caused it. Sometimes it's just a little thing that blocking you, maybe just one tension here that keep happening every session. When you close your eye, you may feel relaxed, but you're not. You have some tension here between your eyebrow, and that can last for years. Okay, that can last for years. So here is again there are level of meditation, right, or concentration. The Khanika Samadhi, this is temporary. This is the first level, temporary concentration. And then when you continue to meditate, that means in this level your mind is on and off. 5 minutes stay, go out 10 minutes, come back, stay 1 minute. Is temporary concentration. Eventually, when you have more experience, you can manage the 5 hindrances. It's come and go, but you feel like I can manage it. It's manageable. So upachara means near. Near what? Near the jhana. And then the third level is called appana. Appana means certain. Appana means fully, absorption, full, absorption. So in the first two levels of samadhi, one will experience 5 hindrances here and there. Sometimes sense pleasure, some day ill will, some session in the afternoon feel sleepy, in the evening maybe think a lot, at night have doubt. So all these, they are there, they're with us every day. So you don't have to fight with them, just know when they arise. Maybe because you lack of mindfulness in your practice, that's why they keep coming back to you. Just acknowledge them and relax, release, and return to your meditation object. You can repeat this process, and this is called the right effort to keep relaxing it. Okay? No need to try to hate it or fight with it or agitate it when it shows up. No. Look at them as the Bhaddiya who help us to strengthen our mindfulness practice. That's all. So when one can overcome this, one will enter the third level of samadhi or appana samadhi, or the full absorption. This is the level where one can start to experience the jhana, which again there are 4 levels at least. That's why the Buddha said, at least if you get to the first level, you will experience piti and sukha here. But something else you can experience too. You can go up to the 4th level, where this is the mind is in perfect stillness, ubekha and happiness together, sukha and ekakhata. The mind is happy, but it stays still. And then it moves to the 4th jhana, which is ubekha, and sukha, ubekha, ekakhata together, like perfectly still, perfect equanimities. You feel extremely content. This is the best quality of the mind that we should aim at that level. So far we have been working here to try to stay concentrated, try to have the mind united or collected when we meditate, whatever meditation object that we use, right? And eventually, which is good, you aiming at upachara samadhi, the samadhi that near jhana, where you can feel peace for 30 minutes, where you can feel peace continuously for 45 minutes. That's perfect. You may not attain the jhana yet, but every time you close your eye, you can get there. It may take you, before may take you 30 minutes for the mind to be still, no thought, no sleepiness. Later on, it may take you only 15 minutes. And before you know it, it may take you 5 minutes to get there. The question is, how did you get there? What technique that you used? That's your job to observe your practice and repeat it. No need to change the technique. When you get there, every time you sit, you feel happiness. This is a good sign. It will motivate you to go deep in your meditation. It will motivate you to go further in your monastic life. Otherwise, the mind will keep going back to the happiness of the sense pleasure. Should I disrobe? I have been sitting 3 months, experience nothing, feel nothing. My friend feels something, I feel nothing. Maybe this meditation is not for me, maybe ordination is not for me. Let me go back home. This is delusion. This is doubt in your practice. That's why the Buddha gave the warning to this new monk to take meditation a little bit more seriously. And this is another thing that I like to share with you. I found in different sutra about meditation attitude. I don't know if you have this attitude or not, or ever come across this idea or not. The Buddha said, you should train yourself like this, monks. We will never stop trying. Trying what? Thinking that gladly would we let the flesh, the blood in our body dry up, leaving just the skin and tendon and bones? I will not stop trying until I have achieved what is possible by human strength, persistence and striving. What does it mean here? This is meditation attitude, and this is what the Buddha make a vow for himself on that night that he achieved enlightenment. No matter what happened tonight, I will not leave the seat. That's the idea. So if one take meditation seriously like this, I'm not saying that you have to sit until you die. But what I'm saying that when you sit, okay, you set intention to sit 30 minutes at least. Do your best to complete that session 30 minutes. Don't find the reason to leave the seat. Maybe too hot, too cold, people make noise. No, that's not the reason. You determine to sit 30 minutes until you complete the session as you set intention at the beginning. If you take meditation like this, you're going to come closer to the upachara samadhi that near the jhana. Okay, sit maybe 2 to 3 hours a day at least. Okay, I would say at least, and determine. Don't just quit. That's the meditation attitude that one should develop. Okay, so this is what it means. But in this passage that we read, when someone ordained, that person must practice meditation. Otherwise, one would go back to the same pleasure world. And you need to practice it correctly by asking questions. Check with your teacher what's wrong in your practice, why you have been stuck here for a few weeks, few months. Let someone help you with that. Otherwise, you're going to be a man sitting with the same mistake all the time, falling asleep, a lot of thought, and don't know why. Fix it, and then you can realize something peaceful. The Buddha talk about piti and sukha, which is the first jhana, and something more peaceful than that, which he have not mentioned yet. This is to the third part. Now the Buddha asked Anuruddha and the monks regarding to their faith towards the Buddha. He said, "How then, Anuruddha, do you all think of me in this way?" Think of me means think of the Buddha. The Tathagata has not abandoned the ten. Okay, you see the word ten. Ten refer to avijja, lopha, tosa, moha, tanha. This is the idea of the kilesa. That defines, that bring renewal of being, that give trouble, ripening in suffering and lead to future rebirth, aging, death. That is why the Tathagata use one thing after reflecting, endure another thing after reflecting, avoid another thing after reflecting, and remove another thing after reflecting. Okay, this is another one. The idea here is the Buddha asked Anuruddha, "Do you think of me this way, that I has not abandoned all of this defilement?" And Anuruddha said, "No, sir, no, Venerable. We do not think of the Blessed One this way." Now it changed from Tathagata to the word Blessed One. We think the Blessed One in this way. In which way? Okay, the Tathagata has abandoned. He has abandoned the tenets that define. So now it's repeat again. That bring renewal for being, that give trouble, that ripening suffering, that lead to future rebirth, aging and death. So the Buddha asked them to regarding to their faith toward the Buddha himself as a teacher, and the student replied that no, we did not think of you like that. We think of you that you are the self-enlightenment. You has abandoned all the tenets, all the defilement in your mind. And the Buddha continues, he said, the Tathagata has abandoned the tenets that define, and now it's repeat again, that give trouble, that ripening suffering or dukkha, that lead to the future rebirth, aging, death. This is the defilement that cause being to be suffer and to continue to reborn. He has cut, now he emphasized, he has cut them off at root, made them like a palm stump. What is a palm stump? Done away with them so that they are no longer subject to future arising. This is the palm stump. If the palm get cut off like this, it cannot grow. Sometimes if you cut the top of the palm itself, now it cannot grow. It just stuck there. And then he said, just as the palm tree whose crown is cut off is incapable of further growth, so too the Tathagata has abandoned all the 10. Now it's repeat again. That means the Tathagata has uprooted all the defilement from his mind, just like we cut off the crown of the palm tree or the palm stump like this. So for him, his mind is not defined no more. So all the students, all of those claimants have faith in the Buddha. So the Tathagata, in this passage, the Tathagata confirmed that he is free from the defilement, just like someone cut the root of the palm tree and the tree cannot grow. It go to the next part of the sutra. Buddha said, "What do you think, Anuruddha? What purpose does the Tathagata see when a disciple has died?" When disciple of the Buddha die, the Buddha declare his reappearance where that people reborn. So and so he reappear in such and such place, and so reappear in such and such place. In this last part of the sutra, the Buddha explains where his disciple, after he died or she died, where they reborn according to their practice when they were alive. So he shared the story of his disciple to this group of monks. And now he explained that he asked Anuruddha, "Why did I do that?" Why did he explain where this disciple reborn after they die? The Buddha talked about bhikkhu or male monk, bhikkhuni or female monk, the layman and the laywoman happen to be a disciple of the Buddha who attain a certain level of enlightenment and die. And the Buddha shared with the monk where did they reborn. So Venerable Anuruddha was asked by the Buddha, "What do you think?" So Venerable Anuruddha asked the Buddha to explain. Okay, would you explain this to us, the meaning? The Buddha now explained that Anuruddha, it is not for the purpose of scheming to deceive people, for the purpose of flattening people, or for the purpose of gain honor and renounce, or with the thought that let people know me to be thus, that when a disciple has died, the Tathagata declare his reappearance, so and so reappear in such and such place. Okay, so and so has reappeared in such and such place. Okay, rather it because there are faithful cleansement, inspiring and gladness by what is lofty, who when they hear that direct their mind to such a state, and that lead to their welfare and happiness for a long time. In other words, the reason the Buddha declared the future rebirth of his disciple is not because he wants to be famous, it's not because he wants to deceive people or flattening people or gain honors. None of that is the reason, but because he wants to inspire these bhikkhu who have not attained anything yet to practice the Dhamma, so they can become one of them. So he points them to the role model that they can choose. Many good monks, many good female monks, many lay people also have attained the Dhamma. So this group of monks, this crowd, they may not have attained anything yet. The Buddha shared the story of people who come to ordain or come to follow the teaching of the Buddha and have achieved the advanced meditative state, achieved into a certain level of enlightenment. So let's summarize this one first. The purpose of the Buddha declared the rebirth and destination of his disciple, or the monk and bhikkhu and bhikkhuni who die and reborn such and such place. Not deceit, flatly gain fame or self-promotion, but to inspire a faithful follower so they can direct their mind toward the lofty state and leading to a long-term welfare and happiness. And how? Just by listening, hearing the accomplished disciple. The accomplished disciple, how did they do that? What are their virtue, their faith, concentration, wisdom, deliverance? Then you can cultivate the same thing. Now the Buddha goes to, this is the last one. Okay, I just give you one example that mentioned in the sutra itself. But the Buddha also mentioned the bhikkhunis, some of the bhikkhunis or nuns, some of the laymen, some of the laywomen. Okay, in the same manner here. And then the sutra ends here. Okay, let's read the last paragraph. Here a bhikkhu, here that the bhikkhu name so and so, whatever his name was, that bhikkhu died. The Blessed One has declared him that he was established the final knowledge. Okay, now this new keyword. What is the final knowledge? Final knowledge is the wisdom that allow one to remove the defilement from one's own mind. We call asavakaya jhana. In the night that the Buddha achieved enlightenment, he attained the three knowledge. We call tevicha. The first knowledge is the knowledge that he can recall his own past life through his advanced meditation. Second knowledge, he can recall other sentient being past life. So he understands the law of karma now. And the last knowledge, this is the one, the final knowledge, the knowledge that allow that person to uproot the defilement completely from the mind, or asavakaya jhana. And he has either seen that Venerable One for himself, or heard it said to him that that Venerable One's virtue was that, the state of samadhi was that, the wisdom was thus, he abiding or attaining was thus, his abiding or attainments was thus, his deliverance was thus, recollecting his faith, virtue, learning, generosity and wisdom, he directs his mind to such state. In this way, a bhikkhu has a comfortable abiding. Okay, that's this translator translate this way. If you read from different translator, you will come across different way of interpreting. Okay? So best to understand the sutra is to study Pali language. That's the best. Okay, now, if we don't have the knowledge of Pali, we can compare some different sutra from different translator. It helps us to understand, to get to see a clearer picture of what the translator tried to explain, the meaning that he translates from Pali. What happening here is the Buddha declare one disciple who happened to become Arahant. When someone attained the final knowledge, that person become Arahant, achieve enlightenment, the final knowledge. So when we know that the Buddha declared, oh, that person attained Arahant because that's what he did. This is how he observed precept. This is how he meditated. This is how he developed wisdom. This is how he lived. So when we hear the story of the person, what he did before he died, so we get inspired. Some monk live in the forest his whole life. Some monk eat one meal a day. Some monk meditate a lot. So there are many great role models in the past, in the time of the Buddha. So we can following their, we may get inspired by their story, and then we want to be one of them. Then the Buddha complete all of these bhikkhunis, laymen and laywomen. He give example, more example. This is just the first example. And at the end, that Venerable Anuruddha said, the Venerable Anuruddha was satisfied and delight in the Blessed One's own word, and that's the end of the sutra. So there are 4 levels of enlightenment as we know. The first one is called stream winner or Sodapatana. One will reborn 7 more life and then enter Nibbana. Second is one returner or Sakathakami. One returner means 1 more life to go. And then non-returner, Anakami, that means if the person die, that person will not come back to reborn as a human. He will achieve enlightenment in the Brahma realms. And then the last level of enlightenment, which is the highest one, the Arahant, the fully enlightened one. There are 4 levels. So this is a peaceful state of mind that one can attain. But one need to start from the jhana first. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to this level. So the mind can develop up to this level. If one attains the jhana or something more refined, now you see by your own self that this is the Dhamma that the Buddha experienced. It's different from the sense pleasure. It's undescribable. One will want to go deeper than that. In the last paragraph, the Buddha mentioned that about these 5 keywords, the faith, virtue, learning, generosity and wisdom. Let's get to know this term a little bit because I think it's important. For me, I suggest everyone to use this as the principle for evaluating yourself. How much you can transform in the past 30 days, in the past 5 months, in the past 5 years that you become a monk. You use this as the indicator to check yourself. First, faith or saddha. how is your faith level toward the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha? Do you believe he is a self-enlightenment? Do you believe he can free himself from all the defilements? So that's the faith toward the Dhamma. Do you have, how much faith do you have toward your meditation technique? Or you still have doubt, or still want to change the technique, or change the tempo, or change the teacher? That's the faith. Okay, that's that you can check. Second one, check your sila or virtue, your moral conduct. You have been a monk 30 days, 3 months, 5 years. When you look back to yourself, give yourself a score to this indicator. How do you feel about your own precept? What about sutta? Sutta means hearing. Sutta means hearing. Hearing means studying, learning the Dhamma, acquire more of the Dhamma. How much Dhamma that you learn since you become a monk? Do you still willing to learn more? That's why I asked in 152 sutra of the Majjhima Nikaya, how many sutra have you read so far? That's the sutta. You may ordain 10 years, but never read any one of this. Why? Don't have time for sutta study. So what do you have time for in the past 10 years? Jaka is not just giving, it's not just generosity. Okay, here the translator used the word generosity here. If you just read the English vocabulary, you're gonna miss a lot of meaning. It's not just giving, okay? The Pali used the word jaka. Jaka can be the giving of material things to your friends, robes, books, or the giving of wisdom. You share the Dhamma that you learn, giving advice. Okay, but ultimately, jaka is the giving or the let go of the defilement. Giving. When you get mad, can you give out that agitated mind right away to your friend? No resentment. That's the jaka. When the mind have lust, can you abandon lust right away? That's the jaka. When you crave for food, and the food that you want to eat don't come today, I'm okay with that food. That's the jaka. So the mind can be sabai, the mind can be relaxed. Then you can move on with your things. If you don't have jaka, you have been a monk 5 years, the jaka is still there, get mad easily, is the indicator that you need to work on it harder than before. And then the panya, okay, panya or wisdom, we have seen this word a lot. Panya is not just knowing the sutra, how many sutra that you read, okay? It's about acquiring is sutra, right? You acquire that information, you read more, and then you put into practice. It's become your second level of understanding of the sutra that you read or the Dhamma that you learn. But there are more to that. After you read, you study, you memorize, you practice, the Buddha encouraged everyone to actually have the direct experience of the Dhamma that you practice. We call penetration into the Dhamma. Penetration into meditation, penetration into loving kindness, penetration into forgiveness. That's the panya. So you can abandon all the wholesome state, unwholesome state of mind. So these are the 5 principles that everyone can put into practice for the self-evaluation, how well you are doing in this monastic path. The key takeaway from this sutra, at least 5 things, 5 or 6 things. We're almost done. First, the Buddha reminds us to look into yourself, examine your motivation of why you become a monk. Renunciation must stem from the insight into suffering, not because of the external pressure, not because mom and dad want you to ordain, not because you have nothing else to do, not because you're running away from death or from the government. No, it's out of faith that see dukkha in life. And you should aim, when you meditation, you should develop attitude toward your meditation practice to take it a little bit more determined, more seriously. You may sit 30 minutes a day in the past week. Can you make it 1 hour? If you already sit 1 hour, can you make it 2 hours? You take meditation into the next level. Check into what went wrong, why I falling asleep all the time. why I have a lot of thought in the evening session. You need to analyze your own self, evaluate your own self when it's come to your meditation practice, and find a way to deal with that. So aiming at the jhana, meditative joy, this is the antidote for mental defilement. As long as we don't get to that level, we still in danger, because we never taste the true happiness in our meditation. Okay, and find a way to study more sutra, looking for the role model in the Buddha time, or even in the monastery, the monk that look at how they train themselves and ask for their advice. Recollect the accomplished practitioner virtues, inspire your own faith, encourage your own practice, and feel your spiritual urgency to achieve what those monks have achieved. And teach selflessly. This is also interesting. The guidance, or when someone giving the Dhamma, is not for the personal gain, to be famous, to have more followers, to have people will like you, or things like this is not the idea. Okay, one has to have selfless mind. When we give the Dhamma talk, or when we give something to someone, we give from the pure heart. And the Tathagata is the one who is perfect. He has a perfect wisdom. He is free from all taints and defilements. That's our faith. Our faith should develop to the Buddha that way. And use these 5 things as the indicator to check yourself from time to time as you walk down this path. What is your faith level today? The virtue, your precept, the learning, the jhana, the generosity, and the wisdom. That's the key takeaway from this Naḻakapāna Sutra that we learned today from the Majjhima Nikāya, Sutra number 68. Okay, any question so far?